Hi everybody, I'm here like usual. Guess what happened? I got a silly viral tweet on twitter.com of 2 images. Captain Chantal DuBois from DreamWorks Madagascar 3 and the city of Zootopia from the movies of the same name. Pretty comprehensible from there. Your mind gets wondering, could this antagonist famous for slaughtering dangerous animals survive in the land of Zootopia? Or vice versa, could Zootopia handle her? What I'm looking for in this idea in hypothetical is a simple thought. Could Zootopia protect a specific target or collection of targets from being harmed by DuBois? Let's assume Judy Hopps, Nick Wilde, the entire police force, and whoever the hell else has been warned of a dangerous individual loose in Zootopia that needs to be apprehended. Maybe she's targeting the mayor or exclusively dangerous animals. It's pretty similar to the regular plots behind the Zootopia movies, and if DuBois is able to kill former Mayor Leodore Lionheart, she wins. I'd say Mayor Winddancer for being the current mayor, but it feels more appropriate for her to be targeting a lion. Initially, I had the idea of her attempting to solve the mysteries of both movies, but nope, she'd be charged for murder. She would not do it for the money. If she was offered $1 million USD and rejected it for the chance of putting down her target of Alex the lion. There's a reason she's not a police officer anymore, only doing animal control. It's kind of the reason why I only chose to do a DuBois related video, because if I did all the other animated hunters like Elmer Fudd and whatever, they're not as interesting as DuBois. The first thing that would be appropriate to look at would have to be the capabilities of both major sides. Consider the universes being compared and how that impact the scenario. Let's talk about Zootopia first. It's people but animals. Zootopia is based on most of the big cities of the world, taking loose inspiration from all sorts of ecosystems and the life there, the whole deal. They are people with animal traits. There's small ones, tall ones, furry bait. There's an abundance of crime, bigotry, a couple podcasts, misinformation, corruption, Shakira. Generally some of the best and a good amount of the worst of everyday humanity. But when you look at DuBois, and then you look at the world of Madagascar, and you realize we aren't just dealing with any typical hunters or exterminators, your mind starts to wander. This isn't the Verminator from Over the Hedge, whose strategies are reliant on setting up traps and keeping their opponents on their toes. This isn't Buck from Open Season, who's a basic all-arounder with high health. And this isn't the K-pop demon hunters who are banned from competitive. DuBois is a rushdown with supernatural abilities, even among all of the life of Madagascar. If we compared her to even the strongest characters of Madagascar, it's a wash. Dr. Blowhole and Dave are hyper-intelligent sea creatures that DuBois could decimate in a couple of minutes. Rico's gimmicks are luck-based. Fighting a Rico is like fighting a low-tier Faust. You can make a case for Nana. I'm basing this off of the theorizers' videos on these topics, but it's safe to assume that Nana and DuBois are related to some extent. Based on the limited time we spend with Nana, we know that she's high durability, a former Girl Scout, a survivalist, charismatic leader, and most importantly, able to take on animals without a problem. She beats most of the cast without an issue, only struggling to the penguins of Madagascar who attempted vehicular manslaughter. Now, one of her most impressive feats comes from the taming of Mr. Chew, a cute little dog McPuppy who has rabies. It has rabies. And not only that, it's assumed one of Nana and Mr. Chew's favorite things to do was travel Africa, probably fill that hunger of fighting wild animals without consequence. And then Mr. Chew likely contracted rabies in the savannah because apparently that's common for some reason. I thought rabies was exclusive to small Midwestern animals like raccoons and possums, but apparently not. DuBois is usually summoned for animals that are too dangerous for most others to handle. Examples include birdies, duckies, a couple of fish, and of course, Mr. Chew. Mr. Chew, Nana, and DuBois, despite how unlikely it is that an elderly Russian woman residing in New York and a French weapon of destruction, seem to know each other. I wouldn't be too shocked if they were related even. Both are strong, independent women. Nana probably respected DuBois enough to let her put down Mr. Chew, and both have a strong interest for lions for different reasons. While DuBois is more hellbent on the destruction of her targets as a hit woman, Nana seems to hold more of an interest on the domestication, of unifying those who are powerful. That's why she takes lead over New York tourists who are stranded in the second movie. And then it ends with her taking Makunga back to New York as her pet, like that was confirmed canon in a DVD commentary. As for DuBois' physical feats, there's a lot to take note of. Within a single movie, she's a wonder to behold, what I would imagine as a prime Nana. It's possible that with every animal added to her trophy room, DuBois takes some of their abilities, that or she learned from the other species of the world. Some of her notable capabilities include bloodhound scent and visualization for things that occurred hours before arriving to the scene. The abilities to detect a creature's weight and quality of hair through the taste of a footprint, being able to stride through a building and shatter drywall without staggering or slowing down, something that requires incomprehensible levels of force and might, and even precision just so you don't fall through the floor. This is a level of coordination and focus that we are astonished by, not to mention her intelligence. The most staggering thing of it all, the aspect that's never seen or mentioned again, if she's given at minimum minimum 60 seconds to sing this 1956 song, "No, I Do Not Regret Anything." She's able to fully heal anyone on the brink of death through her emotionally powerful song. So long as someone is able to sense the emotion behind her performance, they can recover fully, as we see with her 4 lackeys. And when we see it, her reaction's just the same as the rest of her team. DuBois is moved, invested. She cares to see her men get better and to kill Alex the lion, eradicate this angular bastard. The only downside I could really find, maybe aggression. The only point where she fumbles, being too dedicated to our goal of decapitating Alex the lion. She was willing to face jail time, lose $1 million, and eventually face defeat and get shipped off to Madagascar, just like the original cast of the first movie. And I'd go as far as to say her loss wasn't her fault. See, even as a highly trained animal control expert that could find herself in virtually any sort of hit person or assassination-based job without consequence, her only failing came from the unthinkable, the unpredictable. The main thing that separates the verses of Zootopia and Madagascar, other than one being in a world dominated by animals while the other is closer to our own world, it's how the antics work. Disney versus DreamWorks. The wackiest Zootopia gets is maybe like the train nonsense at the end of the first movie, or icing people in a legitimate form of life ending. I guess the wacky night howlers that instantly aggravate any animal who touches them, that might be it. Madagascar has 3 separate action moments where the giant cast is trying to escape through their shitty aircrafts powered by monkeys jumping up and down for bananas. The only reason DuBois loses is that her target has no legal repercussions from being a lion, while Alex had the perfect resources needed to win fights. First encounter, penguins in Madagascar use a nuclear reactor to speed down Monte Carlo. Mort wasn't even deployed, and it was a win for the animal crew. And then over the next several months the movie takes place over, the gang join and reform a circus, so when they eventually make it home and decide they would rather hang out with their awesome new circus friends, cherish the new pals they made, they get this bullshit, a flying circus hot air balloon of all of their new friends with dynamite and instant ropes that they can tightrope on, and even more explosives beyond dynamite, and a bear on a motorcycle. I don't think that part is complicated, but DuBois and her men were not prepared for it. I don't even think the Madagascar crew were. They were just throwing random nonsense that somehow allowed for their escape, and everyone happy about the ending, and all the New York civilians having absolutely zero problem watching their beloved New York lion go away on an animal-controlled balloon with trampolines that include no safety guarding of any sort. And then just like several dozen chimps that mysteriously disappear partway through the movie, nobody really questions what happened that night on the New York Zoo. Just that there was a mysterious disappearance of a strange French woman who is built like one of those like Bart Simpson paper string puppets. Have you ever seen those videos where there's like they're dancing to the vibrations of like a radio or something? Yeah, she looks like that. Overall, DuBois is considered the second most powerful character in canon, behind whatever kind of horrifying beast we consider Mort, because straight up, without exaggeration, Mort's just a multiversal monster. So with all that being said, DuBois entering the Zootopia territory would immediately strike fear into the entire populace and warrant a manhunt exclusively with the intent of apprehending, if not killing, DuBois. In fact, DuBois is the only one-man army I could see realistically entering Zootopia with a standing chance. The initial idea behind this video was going to be putting a whole bunch of fictional characters into this world, until I realized eventually DuBois was the only one that was funny enough to consider with a real chance, noting an exception to Soldier from TF2, but he works in almost any situation. But then I realized it wasn't even fair. Like, Mr. Clayton and Gaston couldn't win a 1v1. They're folding under the police force. Bogus, Bunsen, Bean are gimmick-based and only work as a defense team unless they have resources upon them, which they wouldn't. They would establish some sort of peace treaty with the Zootopia populace. Victor Quartermain just seems like he would give up on the spot. Shaw would give a real effort. Verminator, I think they would manage to escape the city, maybe befriend the hidden reptiles or have a field day at Little Rodentia. DuBois is a threat simply because she's silly enough to stoop back to her animalistic tendencies. Most of the animals found across Zootopia don't particularly utilize their animal traits. They only come up when a joke shows up or it's associated or for them to do a racism. Chief Bogo ends up taking one of Gary's fangs that I'm pretty sure get lodged into his horns. Nick Wilde's personality is intended to match a sly, cunning fox because he is one. That one beaver character I tolerate who keeps chewing wood because that's a prominent plot point. They chew wood because that's what beavers do. Regardless, they've made humans out of animals, whereas DuBois is an animal who happens to be human. Uh-oh, says every other creature in Zootopia. That's a new species. We shouldn't kill her. We should tranquilize her and research. That's realistically the route that would be taken. But then Judy might go, no, wait, guys, we're Zootopians. We can live together in harmony in this animal kingdom. No, you cannot. DuBois is famously known for literally collecting heads for the love of the game. She should not be allowed freely in this animal-based society. Literally, her only interests are hunting animals and killing animals, and music, I guess, or the opera, or I don't know what genre that song is, but it was very good. She's very good at it. This is the equivalent of unleashing a citywide boogeyman. And here's where DuBois could theoretically fumble. Toxins and other tranquilizing items have been proven as effective toward her. She might be an impending force in all other situations, but here, no, this is ultimately what led to her loss. An unpredictable, unexpected trank shot. A strong one at that. So what this means is that the only shot the Zootopia police have at keeping the peace are through the injection of venom like Gary's, which is near impossible at a close range. I propose the idea of a more dire action like firearms, but in Zootopia, nobody carries firearms, not even the police. They got darts, and that just feels like them trying to be a little extra at the expense of civilian protection. There's a lot of jokes I can make here. Pretend I said one. Now I want to note if I think any specific characters would survive a loose DuBois in the city of Zootopia. Well, I mean, with the amount of options DuBois has, she really has no point in hunting down small game. Again, the mayor and more other profound beasts would likely be higher on the radar. Chief Bogo's the only ZPD character who I think stands a legit shot of surviving an encounter, which is a profound feat considering the Madagascar crew were only able to do that through the most unbelievable antics imaginable. In what instance was DuBois expected to mentally prepare for the possibility of the self-proclaimed king of the lemurs in Madagascar riding on top of his circus bear girlfriend and doing tricks on a motorcycle? There wasn't. That's not her fault. Zootopia goes a level down from Madagascar's absurdities. The action here is based on already existing infrastructure. Zootopia's action set pieces come from buildings collapsing or having to jump on or around moving vehicles in animal biomes. Madagascar's action sets come from the crew managing to scramble together a nightmare contraption that DuBois can't work with. She'd have zero problem maneuvering around locations like Tundra Town or Marsh Market, regardless of how much they sound like Fortnite locations. Now here's another complication I had. Would DuBois respect the police when she was formerly an officer? No, she would not. She gets arrested in Rome after tranquilizing 3 officers and then lets the same 3 inspect her jail cell and trap them in a giant hole shut behind their cell. I hope she didn't make it impossible to save them, but you never know. That hole was off screen. She could have made a cave explorer nightmare contraption to trap the poor guys doing their job. Regardless, she doesn't respect foreign relationships. Like, she famously does not give a shit about environmental control, trespassing, any of that. A force to be reckoned with, one I couldn't expect any survivors out of outside of the richest of Zootopians who would have the resources to evacuate or go into deep hiding. Like the Linksleys and Mr. Big's family come to mind as people I think could survive the dangers of Chantal DuBois. In fact, I think based on the Zootopia Plus show, Mr. Big has serious charisma and community development skills. Perhaps if he was given enough time, he could rally the civilians to take her down. You know what though? Flash would be fine. He's good at driving his car good. If he gets into a vehicle before DuBois shows up, I think he escapes. Plus a sloth is too easy for the sheer might of DuBois. Gary's a snake that would be relatively easy for DuBois to eliminate. Like, she finally holds a lot of space for dangerous snakes in her trophy room office, so you can base it off of that. You can assume that he's not gonna make it. So I guess that would just leave the ZPD, most of which being somewhat manageable for DuBois. Clawhauser is a dead man walking. Zebras wouldn't make it. You could make a case for those 2 warthogs surviving, but I think they would try to apprehend DuBois and fail. And then Nick and Judy, the tiny dynamic duo on the force who have been able to save plenty of lives, begin to reverse a century of bigotry, put an end to the Night Howler drug ring, overthrow 2 corrupt politicians, and befriend a whole number of animals from a whole collection of different backgrounds. Now one thing I want to make sure is, as lovable as they are, as cute of a team they make, they aren't surviving DuBois. Like, I mean, have you been looking at this B-roll footage? There is no chance for Nick and Judy to evade DuBois if she was attacking them, nor could they attack DuBois and successfully apprehend her. It is over. It is an uneven fight. They cannot win. Their best bet would be luring her into a trap, which I don't know how possible that is. Literally, the only option she would fall for is extended aggravation. Even then, this feels like letting John Wick into a petting zoo. So ultimately, Captain Chantal DuBois entering the city would be like Gary entering Zootopia in the second movie, but on crack. Instead of the populace being slightly grossed out or startled at the sight of a snake, it would actually be a nightmare demon reaping the souls of random creatures, and I hope the beaver is one of them. The thing that made her a threat in Madagascar 3 was the fact a human world didn't hold concern at Alex being killed by her chases. But here for her, there are no rules. There is nothing preventing her from going on a rampage. The law would not apply to her. She would be the prey, and that would allow her to go full throttle. If she wanted to declare war on Zootopia, it wouldn't be hard. She could start by hunting down some politicians or celebrities residing in the area, instilling fear across each district, uproaring into chaos and evacuation on this person who could show up without warning anywhere across the city. I mean, she managed to hunt down Alex the lion across Europe to New York City. She managed to jump him at his home turf. Congratulations, Zootopia. You have your very own equivalent to Michael Myers roaming around your city. Nobody would be safe, as the strongest animal controller of today comes down to Animal Town to be a menace. But not Nana. She's the strongest animal controller of history, and Leodore Lionheart, the former mayor, is going to have his head mounted onto a wall. My god, that is awful. But what do you think? Do you agree that DuBois would have no issues running down Zootopia? Let me know. And while you're at it, check out if you're subscribed. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers by the end of 2026 and would appreciate it if you took the time to help. Maybe check out some other videos. Talk more in the comments. I'll try to respond if you got anything cool to say. Even provide a cool video idea. I listen to them. This video idea came from a friend, so if you have any ideas like it, let me know. And with that being said, I'm all done on this one. The red YouTube bar is at the end of the screen. It's end screen time. Bye-bye.